Mission 1, start!
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Actually, I don't know what I'm welcoming you back to. This is another session of me rambling, talking about whatever is on my mind, really. But I had this footage of myself, Dwight, and Stinson playing Metal Slug 3. Almost said Metal Gear Slug. It'd be an interesting crossover, actually. I want to make a note of that. Hold on. Oh, anyway, so the point that I wanted to get across here is that I had this footage and I didn't really know what else to do with it, so I figured I would use it for rambling sessions, since I don't know how many of you would actually be interested in watching a video of us playing through Metal Slug. May I point out, before we go any further, this game is deceptively hard, and I mean that. As I think it was Stinson pointed out, it's one of the first games I've actually gotten a complete game over, no continues, had to just start over from scratch in a long time. It's very kind of cool, old school feeling. I remember playing other Metal Slug games, but I don't think 3 is actually one of the ones I got a chance to play until now. It's very traditional 2D, side-scrolling action. It's very nice. I love it. This style of game, is something that not only I was a fan of when I was younger, but something I'm still a fan of when I have a few minutes to kill, but I don't necessarily have time for something too involved, or if I'm just unwinding before bed, something like this. Don't think much about it, just get to it, shoot it. Anyway, with that in mind, it is still kind of frustrating, and it's not the most relaxing thing the further you get into the game. But the best part about this game to me are the bosses, and I talk a lot about boss battles and what makes good boss battles, and I think there are things that newer games could learn from the arcade games on how to make bosses seem different, even if you don't have a lot of room to do the mechanics differently. Because some things are, they become stale too easy. So sometimes, changing the visual appearance may not seem like much, but it can actually help. And games like this are kind of evidence of that. But anyway, so one of the things I wanted to talk about was I've been doing a lot more writing. For those of you who follow me, that I write for Blinkman Inc., which is where I do a lot of my video game and movie reviews, and I do the comic book stuff and art book reviews and stuff like that for Culture Mass. Well, one thing I've kind of started to get into, but I don't really have as clear of a venue for it as much, and I just really don't have the time for it. I do too much writing as it is, but is reviewing TV shows. And one, it's hard for me to sit down and keep up with a current ongoing show. Like, I have several shows that I'm trying to keep up with, but to me it's just so much easier to wait till it's done and buy the DVD set, or wait till it's on Netflix and to have all the episodes right there at your fingertips. To me, that's the preferred and better way of watching television. So as of late, I've been kind of using Hulu to try to keep up a little bit more, since I'm never home when these shows actually come on, and I don't have cable. I don't believe in it. I think it's a waste of money, unless there's just some shows that you absolutely can't miss. I don't know. I think there's ways around it. Instead of paying anywhere from $60 to $120 for cable each month, which I know some people pay even more than that. I pay $7.99 for Netflix streaming, and I don't even pay for Hulu unless there's something really specific I want to see, because a lot of what I want to see on Hulu is free. But between those two things and, knowing a couple of websites to go to, I really don't miss anything. However, do not misinterpret this as me saying you should go illegally download stuff off the internet. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just not going to be the one to tell you to go do it. However, that's beside the point. What I'm trying to say here is I've been trying to watch more shows, and I've been trying to write more about television shows because I think there's a lot of good material there. There's a lot of good stuff to write about. And honestly, I think probably the reason I don't write about it more is because a lot of the shows I want to write about, I think are good, but they're not good enough to... There's not enough depth and meaning there to look into. And at the same time, a lot of the stuff that would get the big views is not stuff I want to write about. I'll give you an example. When this season started, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was probably one of the bigger ones. And a lot of people wanted me to write on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I did. I wrote a little quick thing on the first episode, the pilot episode. And as I was trying to write more, I thought, okay, well, I'll write some on the second episode. And the second episode came, and I wasn't as thrilled with it. So I was like, well, maybe I'll write something after the next few episodes. And then the next few episodes came, and I just wasn't getting into it as much. And I'm finally getting back into it. But there's nothing that I feel really needs to be said that either A, hasn't already been said, or B, just is not that important. I was actually much more impressed with Sleepy Hollow. That was a show that, again, I didn't think was really worth writing too much into, but man, the season finale, they did a great job with it. I really enjoyed it. I'm actually excited about the next season. I may write something on Sleepy Hollow later. I didn't think it was important. I thought I had other stuff that needed my attention more than writing something about that. You can take from that whatever you want. But some of the shows that I also don't want to talk about, one, because everybody's talking about them, and I just don't care, is, people have asked me why I don't talk more about The Walking Dead or Game of Thrones. I haven't even finished Season 3 of Game of Thrones. I love Game of Thrones. But I can wait. And I'm just not as excited about it, I guess, as some people are. And then there's the issue that, I think HBO charges too much. I think, if you've never looked, their price tag for DVD box sets is pretty crazy. And I know why HBO, you can't just get HBO Go by itself. I've read a couple of different articles on it, but I'm going to be the guy that says it here again. If they offered HBO Go by itself as its own thing, I would probably get it tomorrow, because there's a lot of stuff I do want to watch on there. Like, I've never actually finished The Wire, and I would love to sit down and finish that. But anyway, the point that I'm getting to about bigger shows like that, and let me specify real quick. I liked The Walking Dead Season 1. I liked the little bit of the comic that I read, because I'm a big comic book person. I, however, think The Walking Dead TV show is just not doing it for me. And I'm not saying it's not good, and I'm going to get a little bit of heat for this, but I'm not saying the show is not good. I'm saying it became a little bit too much of a drama for me. Season 2 really turned me off of the show. And Season 3, I think, was better. But when Season 4 started, I realized I had no interest whatsoever in actually keeping up with it or caring about these characters. And I don't know. It feels so just contrived at this point. It's kind of like going through the motions. And maybe I'm wrong to some degree. And I will eventually watch the rest of it just because I know me and I know I'll get to it. But I definitely could not make myself write anything on these shows and do any type of reviews. And that's not saying they're not good. I feel like my time would be better spent doing other stuff. But like I said, I have been writing more, so I've been watching more. If you've never seen At Midnight, It's the show with Chris Hardwick where they basically make fun of Twitter, and it's hilarious. They have a lot of really good guest comedians on there, and that makes for an amazing background show. So I have that on a lot when I'm doing my writing and doing other things. I'm about to start watching True Detective, which I hear is great. I hope it kind of lives up to the hype, because it's getting a little bit of hype, but I want to watch it before it gets any more hype. I'm almost done with Breaking Bad. That's another one that I'm glad I'm watching. I'm really enjoying, but it got really close to being a little overhyped for me. And I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue. I'm really into it. I'm digging it. I actually am not a huge fan of the main characters. Walt and Jesse, to me, are cool characters, but my two favorite characters so far have been other people. And I'm not going to say any big spoilers, because I'm not done with the show, so I wouldn't want anybody to spoil it for me. But one of my favorite... I'm sorry, I'm noticing the snowman thing on here. I'd forgotten about that. But one of my favorite characters is Gustavo Fring. But I'm going to finish that show soon. I'm actually on season 5. So what I did was I talked to Kyle, whom I do the Comics and Controllers podcast with, and I said, hey, I kind of want to get back into anime, because I remember I used to watch a lot of anime, and for whatever reason I don't anymore, and I actually don't know why. Well, I know part of the reason why. One is, if you don't know me, I'm legally blind. I have a very bad vision problem. And so for me to watch anime that, that is still in Japanese and you're reading English subtitles is very hard. It's almost impossible for me to do, because it kind of ruins the experience if you have to pause it every few seconds to read the text, because I also read kind of slow because of my vision. So everybody keeps saying, hey, watch Attack on Titan, or watch this one or that one, and I'm like, it's not in English yet. I can't watch it. I started, for a while I wasn't watching as much, or I'd watch anime, but I'd just rewatch ones that I really liked. Like my favorite anime of all time is Cowboy Bebop. And I'm a huge fan of Gundam Wing. I have the entire series of Gundam Wing, and I've watched it a few times now. I need to watch the new Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, because I've seen all the original Full Metal Alchemist, but I want to watch Brotherhood. But I keep asking for anime, like new anime to watch. So one thing I want you guys to do in the comment section on this video is, if you have any suggestions for anime that you know is in English, that there's an English version of it, please suggest it, because I'm going through a lot more stuff now, watching while I've been writing, so I could use some new anime. And the last one that Kyle suggested was not a bad anime at all. It just really wasn't it's not my usual taste. I'm not a fan of goofy anime. I'm not a fan of, I don't mind when there's silly stuff mixed in, like Trigun is a really good example. Trigun is probably the most silly I really like. It's a good mix of, having that serious with the goofy in it, and that's part of anime style, so you kind of have to just accept it to some degree. But I think Trigun's that amount is probably my limit. I'm also not a huge fan of, like fan service anime. Like anime with a lot of high fan service, just it doesn't do anything for me. I don't care. I don't know. One of the ones we watched recently was Rosario Vampire. And in the end, I'm glad I stuck with it, because it's 2 seasons long, and I got to the end of the first season, or really not even to the full end, and I was like, I'm probably just going to quit watching this. But I stuck with it, and I'm glad I did, because some of the characters ended up being really awesome. But not only is that a goofy anime, it's a heavy fan service anime, if you've ever seen it. basically it's a harem anime where you have a boy who accidentally goes to a school for monsters, and all of these female monsters are all in love with him. So I can't necessarily I'd say I'd recommend it. If you like that style of anime, it's probably perfect for you. But you know, I'm not a fan of it. I used to, one of my ex-girlfriends, we would watch a lot of anime together, and I saw some really goofy and not a lot of fan service, but you know, really kind of campy anime that she really enjoyed, and they weren't all bad. Like I actually, Fruits Basket is one that can be kind of boring, but it has a good story and it has really good characterizations. So I'm not knocking this stuff, and I'm not saying I won't try other types of anime and other, you know, other styles and stuff like that, but I definitely, you know, I would love more serious suggestions. And there's some stuff that you're going to tell me that I'm going to be like, oh, I've heard about that, but I've never watched it. And that's kind of why I'm looking for people to remind me, because I haven't bothered messing with anime in so long. There's an ulterior motive to this. It's not a very, you know, sinister one, though. It's just that I would like to actually review some more anime for Blinkman Inc. I think that would be a lot of fun, and I'm not 100% sure which titles I'd like to review. I did a Hellsing review not too long ago, and so one of my projects is going to be to watch the new Hellsing, the OVAs or Ultimate Hellsing or whatever we're calling it now. I really think that is going to be a good review, because I hear it, you know, it sticks closer to the manga. And I don't, manga, excuse the hell out of me. I don't read a lot of manga. If you pay attention to the podcast I'm on, the Comics and Controllers podcast, I am going to attempt to start reading a little bit more, but, you know, it's not like an immediate thing. And I don't care if stuff sticks to the hell are these? You know, I remember fighting these. I still don't know what the hell they are. What those things are on their heads. Weird ass boss fights. Remember when I said you could learn something from arcade boss fights?
Okay.
You could just freak your players out. But anyway, alright. So, like I said, before I know this is a rambling video, but I've been going on here for almost 20 minutes, and I don't want to do that any longer. So, comments, please, suggest some anime. Other than that, you know, if you think I'm not giving any of the TV shows I mentioned a fair shot, I'm gonna say I'll take your suggestion under, you know, consideration, but that's probably not true. So I don't want to lie to you. I wouldn't even say I'm picky on TV. I get turned off of programs easily. Like no. Okay. Alright. I'm gonna go.